Pitch heads. It's November 20th, November 2020, World Vegan Month, November 2020. And FYI, I got some hate mail, someone kindly shared that my lighting is absolute shit. Okay, that may or may not have been from a relative. But anyway, I know I'm not good with the lighting, and I keep moving them. I'm gonna take my glasses off in a second, but I just wanted to share with you that this is part of coaching, is you show up, you do your best, and you don't worry about being perfect. And sometimes people won't like it. Sometimes they're relatives. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about the blue zones. And recently I mentioned blue zones to people who may or may not be related to me, and they didn't know what they were. And blue zones, it's a term used to refer to about 5 zones, demographic areas in the world that in 2005, a National Geographic team of demographers cited as having very high concentrations of centenarians, people over 100 living active, full lives with low incidences of chronic heart disease, chronic dementia, all sorts of chronic issues that typically in the Western world afflict our elderly at much younger ages. So they started calling these areas blue zones. And Dan Buettner wrote a book. I think he wrote the original National Geographic article in 2005. But he wrote a book called Blue Zones. And the zones began, the first area of location that they studied was in Sardinia, the Italian island of Sardinia. Other blue zones are Okinawa, Japan, Ikaria, Greece, Nicoya in Costa Rica, and the Loma Linda area of California, which is primarily a congregational area of a Christian sect called the Seventh-day Adventists. And there were a number of lessons learned. Why such a concentration of centenarians in these locations? And you know, the deciding which is number 1, number 5, number 10, hard to say. But overwhelmingly, these are plant-based, vegetarian, not utterly vegan, but plant-based, the largest concentration of their calories coming from plants. And a large numbers of calories coming from legumes, lentils, beans, etc. So there were also other very important issues in terms of elderly having a purpose and a place to go, reasons to get up in the morning and contribute, whether it's in their family unit, their extended community, the farms or fishing or other areas where they still had an important job to do late in life. Also, a large network of family and friends, community, people, a social support system, things that help people through those bumps in life that you go through more and more as you have more time on this earth. Additional items too. Wine seemed to low incidences of high alcohol, but lots of wine as the alcohol of choice in many of these communities. Tending towards a lower caloric diet, lower numbers of calories in the diet, and a number of other very interesting issues. And Loma Linda is the only community that's been studied this way, is the only blue zone that the United States has. And this group of Seventh-day Adventists tend to be vegetarian, even vegan, and they tend to live in a fairly strict way in their community in Loma Linda. And there's actually a very famous plant-based hospital with a lot of research, Loma Linda, California, that you can read a lot more about if you're interested in. And one of the things that Dan Buettner posits from his research is these are people who live not just with their own idea of how we should eat, how we should live, how we should behave. The community, these are easy decisions to make because the community supports these decisions. And this is an area we might talk about on another podcast, where you can do what you want as an individual, but it's an effort. It's an effort. And don't we want to try to create an architecture of, an architecture of choices that are more available. It's easier to choose a good food, easier to have clean water, easier to walk, to get up during the day and have somewhere to go, to be connected with your neighbors in your community. How do we make those things easier and normal so they're not choices, they're just kind of the way we live? So that's some of the wisdom that we've learned in the last 15 years or so from the blue zones. There's been some controversy that some of those centenarians weren't quite as old because of when birth certificates were issued in the early part of the 20th century, recording difficulties, but that tends to be a lot to learn from these communities, and a lot more will be learned. And we have actually some U.S. communities that the AARP, the American Association of Retired People, I think it means, along with National Geographic and Dan Buettner's Blue Zones Foundation, to try to that they've tried to create this kind of community by instituting walking trails and community walks and easy choices for plant-based meals. So there's a lot more to learn. And if you'd like to know more about it, Dan Buettner's Blue Zones, I think he's written a few other books and articles, and I think he has a very active webpage that you can do more research on. So until next time, that was a long one, sorry. It's November 20th, World Vegan Month, November 2020. Get out there, veg your best.